Okay, so I don't know why I've decided to do the review for Dying Light 2 at almost 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's out, and I know a lot of you have played it, but I'm still going to throw my opinion into the ether. Maybe we can have a little bit of a discussion. So before we get going, answer me the question: did you enjoy Dying Light? What was your favourite bit, and what was your worst bit? Now, on to what I think of Dying Light 2. So, if I was to summarise it in one sentence, I would say that Dying Light is a palate cleansing game. It is a game that is enjoyable when you don't have any other games to play. Because while I haven't hated playing this game, while I've been running around and doing things, I have, at the back of my mind, been thinking the whole time, I'm going to drop this as soon as something better comes along. And there is a lot that is better coming along. So the main thing that has really kept me going through this is the story. At first, no, I'm going to rephrase that. It is completely tropey and full of tropey goodness. But that being said, just when I thought, oh, this is a bit like there was some really, really good twists. And I was a bit like, I didn't see that coming, and I really, really enjoyed it. Additionally, I really did like the cast as well. I'm a huge fan of Rosario Dawson. If you haven't seen her in the Marvel series, I highly recommend go checking it out. And it was really, really nice to see her in Dying Light 2. She was a lot of fun. Now, some of the issues that I had with it were at the start, this game takes absolutely forever to get going. In fact, a good maybe a third to almost a half is this preamble warm-up, doing this kind of like starter set of missions to get to another location, and it's not until you get to the other location that you're heading does the game really like kick off, and you get access to like all the game's abilities, and you get a feeling of what the game is really meant to be about. And the first part of the story really was just, it was mediocre and it was a drag, and I found myself really wanting just to click through all the cutscenes that popped up, and it wasn't enough for me to stop playing it, but it already set my internal kind of enjoyment clock to about a 5 at that given point. Now the next bit, which was a bit was the melee combat. Now there are options to have ranged combat as well, you get access to a bow, but predominantly you are just doing melee combat. And for the most part, it is just this kind of like mediocre loop of block, hit, dodge, parry, stun them, hit them. And it's like there's a couple of swinging animations. And it's just like, it was once I'd done it like a few times, I didn't want to do it anymore. And I pretty much avoided doing it the whole time. In fact, any chance I got to avoid doing combat, I wouldn't do it. And maybe that was the idea that they were going for, because the parkour tree or the fighting tree are very, very independent of each other. And if you just enjoy running around, then that is what you will level up. You simply get XP by hopping around on rooftops. But again, I found it a bit odd that they kind of separated them and they didn't try and kind of interweave them a bit. Because for a game that focuses on parkour, if you really do the parkour and go on the roofs and hop around, you don't fight any zombies at all, really. And you have to really kind of go out your way to like farm stuff and, harvest things on the ground. And when you take the combination of A, the combat just being mediocre, and B, the main enjoyability of hopping around the roofs doesn't actually make you fight, I never really ended up doing any of it. I will say fighting the zombies was a lot more fun than fighting the humans, but it still was pretty awful, which, goes a long way to say just how awful fighting the humans was. They really were like scripted into these horrible loops of parrying and then striking and dodging and then striking again, just doing the same animations over and over again. And then there was the crafting system. I had issue with the mods in the first place. I never wanted to put them on a weapon because A, when they went off, they kind of just like consumed the whole screen. And 2, like if you put the fire mod on, for example, it would just constantly make this hiss while going around. And I had to turn the sound off on a few occasions just because it was just so unenjoyable to listen to. And again, upgrading them was just complete tedium. Like the 500 hours that they've got in the game, majority of it must be just upgrading your blueprints. There's maybe 15 levels or something ridiculous per each blueprint, and all of them require you to go out and farm like an endless amount of zombies. And unless you absolutely hate yourself or you just have no time in your life, I don't see anyone wanting to do this. It's like completionist torture. Now, in terms of its looks and feel, I wasn't blown away just by how graphically amazing it was. It did feel a little bit last gen. And when I went back and watched some of the old footage from the original Dying Light, again, I didn't feel like it was a massive step up. Now, getting back to the parkour. Now, I did enjoy running around, but it felt really weird. The animations were a bit off. It's like when you're running along, your hands move way faster than your body is going. So you end up feeling like you're some sort of Olympic power walker when you're moving around. Additionally, there was some sort of like weird weightiness. The jumping in the game felt awful. Like it well, not awful. It just felt like it wasn't right. It was like it was Halo jumping more than it was Dying Light jumping. And if you've ever played Mirror's Edge or games like that, you know, they've got a great sense of speed. You know, you gain momentum and you're just like zooming on through. And for a parkour game, it just didn't have that feel. I don't think it really helped as well that I was playing Spider-Man a little while ago, and like, you know, you swing through and you're doing all these amazing traversing and gaining all this momentum, and then to this, it feels like you're jogging over rooftops after eating too big of a meal. And while things do get better when you start putting some points into the upgrade, again, it's like at the start, it just feels so cumbersome. And like when you're climbing up the face of a wall, for example, all you see is just a big blobby texture, and you don't really get a sense of like you're scaling this giant building. So unfortunately, it just became less of like, you know, me enjoying running around as this parkour wizard, and more of just a, can I get to this point as fast as humanly possible? So between the kind of weird Teletubby parkour that you're given, and the fact that I didn't really want to do any combat because it was just so mundane, this game ended up feeling very much like a walking simulator with, you know, an interesting story to follow. And they do a good job with the narrative, and the music was good. There are some sound issues with this. Sometimes the chase music will come on, it just won't turn off, no matter, it's like you complete the mission or whatever and you have to restart. And I've already mentioned, like, I don't know if it was intentional, but sometimes just the hissing of your add-ons as well, it's just going constantly. It gives you a headache after a while. So if you're wondering, would I buy this game? And I did buy it, by the way. I didn't get a review copy or anything like that. If it was purely based on the combat, no way in hell would I buy this. If this was based on the parkour alone, I would probably buy it if it was like £20. If it was for the story, then probably yes. I have really enjoyed the story. You know, it's not a story that's going to go down in history for being so good, but is it a nice story with lots of twists and turns, and, you know, the drama and like the carrot on the stick that keeps you going and mysteries to reveal. And I like that. I'm easily pleased with this. But yeah, my overall advice to you guys is wait till this either comes out on Game Pass or is massively reduced on like a 50% sale, and then pick it up and play it, because I cannot justify you spending money on this one when there are so many potentially good titles coming up around the corner. But yeah, there you go. That is my review of this. Let me know what you thought of it so far. Do you agree or disagree? We've got loads and loads to review this week in February and March, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I will see you all soon. So stay healthy, stay well, and I'll be back with more news and reviews soon.